This is the magicwordpodcast.com.
We're now into day number 3 and the final day of the convention. And today we're expecting to have a lot of nonstop activities beginning at 11 o'clock. As most conventions, a lot of conventions in particular, close-up conventions like at the 4F and elsewhere, things don't start until later, giving us a chance to kind of sleep in the morning. And since this is a collector's convention, they know that there are not a lot of early risers, so they kind of let us sleep in a little bit. And also they don't go too late either. So kind of a perfect of all worlds here for this convention. Anyhow, today, chock full of activities, and we'll be talking about that a little bit later, but I got with me right now someone who is having her first time experience at this convention, although you know her from Abbott's and from Magi Fest, and I don't know where all. She's the Queen of Michigan. Here she is, Jania Taylor. Right,
oh, gee, thanks. Now I miss Michigan.
Speaking of Michigan, I know they have Michigan Magic Day, and they also have like a person who is like Michigan's Magician of the Year. And I think Harriet got that a couple of years, Harry Jacobson.
Harriet got it.
Al the Only.
Right. Harriet got it 2 years ago. Michigan Magic Day is coming up May 17th. Mm-hmm. It's going to be held in the Detroit area. I think it's like, it's a smaller venue, so it has the name Joe Louis in it. Okay. And it looks like a really good lineup. I've talked to because Michigan Magic Day moves around the state, and a local IBM or SM will pick it up. Mm-hmm. So the Detroit IBM is a very active ring, and it looks like a great lineup. When I talked to them, they had at least 100 people registered already, which is great for a Michigan Magic Day.
Have you been honored in the past there?
No, I haven't.
So what's wrong with them? They should know better. They should have you.
And I even know the person who's in charge, and, I should schmooze him a little bit more.
That's right. Do a little schmoozing there. That's what it'll take. Well, I mentioned this was your first time at this particular convention. Tell me, why are you here?
Well, of course, like everybody else, I wanted to see David Copperfield's collection, which was totally amazing, and now I'm really overwhelmed with the American Museum of Magic and what we have to do. I wanted to come because of that, and also because now that I am tied to the museum, I figured it was a good idea. And this convention, I've met a lot of people in the flesh that I have emailed or talked to on the phone. And
who are collectors, I guess.
Right, I've never met them. So it's been really fun meeting people in the flesh. Mm-hmm. And like Michael Claxton, and he even did an article on me when he did his Women in Magic series in the Linking Ring. So I've talked to him on the phone. It was almost like I knew him, but I'd never met him.
Right. Yeah, I spoke with Michael yesterday because he just finished this book on saving magic, right, about David Pierce.
And
David Pierce, is that right?
Yes. Yeah. No, Price. David Price.
Thank you.
David Price.
And so with this, again, you being a collector, I thought this would perhaps, that's why I'm surprised that you haven't been here more often, because are you the president of the board?
I am the board chair.
Chair, okay.
So I'm like Frank Sinatra, chairman of the board.
Cheers to that.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So the American Museum of Magic, I know, was a Bob Lund thing. In fact, I talked to Michael briefly about that yesterday, and there was a rivalry between Bob Lund and David Pierce, Price, about their collections and everything then, too. But your collection, I say yours, the American Museum of Magic, continues to grow, and it is governed now by a board that is sympathetic to magic as opposed to what it was before.
Right. We have a great working board. It's a board of 9. Practically everybody on the board knew Bob, which is helpful because they remember the collection as Bob had it and kind of what Bob wanted to do with it. So we want to be good stewards of his ideas, but also move things forward.
I know also he was close friends with Jay Marshall, and they kind of envied each other's collections then too. But most of Jay's stuff, I think, ended up in Copperfield's collection, I believe.
Well, we had it for a smidge. I shouldn't say the museum had it for a smidge, the family. And then, unfortunately, we had, as some people in the magic world know, we had a bit of a flood, not under my watch, a pipe burst, right, and the family wanted the J. Marshall things back. So Gabe Ferrari helped orchestrate that. The museum kept some things that they wanted, and the collection went back to the museum. I mean, to the Marshall family.
I remember that, of course, many years ago, they bought the library next door, and that was where the flood was. Is that right?
Right, that's where the flood... Because, unfortunately, it's an old steam heat water pipe system, which we still have, which we have now... I have started talking to numerous contractors about how to replace the boiler, how to replace the steam heat, what do we want to convert it to. And unfortunately, if anybody's dealt with contractors in today's day and age, they don't get back with you.
Yeah, and even after they get going, it's not going to be within the time limits they say. We'll be finished by this date.
Right.
And, well, we're going to have to extend it. We had some additional things we found.
Right, because we would really like to move away from that steam heat so another accident doesn't happen.
Well, I thought that you did do something that upgraded the air conditioning or the duct unit, or what was it that I know a lot of money was raised and went towards something?
That was a mini split system. So if you come to your research in July in Michigan, you won't also lose weight while you're sitting in the sauna.
It used to be a sauna, yeah.
It was super hot in there. And let's see, we put 3 mini splits in, and that has really, it makes a total difference in the summer, just to give it some air conditioning.
Is there room for more things to be added to the collection, or places even to store the collection?
Well, there is, but we really don't want to take on a bunch more. We'd like to organize what we have.
And do you have like a chief archivist? I mean, like Copperfield's collection, he has a guy who handles that, and other archivists apparently who work in different areas. Have you got people doing that, or is it all volunteer?
It's pretty much volunteer. We did hire 2 years ago a young kid. Anybody under 30 is a kid.
Yeah.
His name is Scott Duck. He's from Battle Creek. He was an American history major, and he's been doing a great job, but he's only one guy, and he's part-time. He works 24 hours for us in a 4-day period. But the really cool thing that I've liked to watch about Scott is when he first came on board, and he really wasn't, he didn't feel comfortable and confident taking on projects of his own.
Yeah.
So when he was sitting there, he started Googling the people on the posters and educating himself about the magicians. And he likes history. So he's not a librarian, he's not an archivist, but he's right now our jack-of-all-trade kind of guy.
Which is what you need, I guess, somebody kind of like that. And the reason I was asking is just because of whether that you are accepting donations, because a lot of people are wondering towards the end of their life what they're going to be doing with their stuff or what they should do with it. Should they donate it to some place, or they don't want their surviving widow to have to deal with it, basically. So being proactive in advance, should they look at trying to give things like that to you or not? Or
definitely. Please don't send us any more magazines, though.
Yeah.
But I mean, if they're
we got enough firewood.
Right, exactly. You can't even give them away at magic conventions.
No, you can't.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yes, if they do have something to donate, if they would get in touch with us first to see what you have, to see if we really want it, and most likely there might be something there that we want. So just please don't walk through the door with your boxes of whatever.
Right.
But just call ahead, say you want to donate blah, 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 and we will say yay or nay.
Right. I was wondering about that. And if people want to go and visit again, it's in Marshall, Michigan. And is there a website where they can go to get more information, see some photos or anything?
Yes, we do have a website, American Museum of Magic.com. It is a .com, not a .org. We had a little bit of a meltdown with our .org, so hopefully do not. If any of you have the old .org email, we won't get it. So don't email that. It was a whole big website meltdown about a year ago.
Okay.
But we got it all straightened out.
I know you do sometimes some feature things, like we were talking about Bruce Haverbrook coming and speaking. You have speakers from time to time who come and talk about history.
And we have coming up on May 22nd, we're going to celebrate Bob Lund's 100th birthday. His birthday was just this past May. I mean, this past Sunday, and the reason why we didn't do it this week, because we're here.
Is this open to everyone, or just to patrons, or do you pay, or how do people attend?
If you're a member, you get to attend for free, the lecture. If you're not a member, we ask you to give us a $20 donation. And also, if you want to see the lecture, we have 4 of Bob's friends who were there in the beginning, helped him restore the building, to tell us the story and their memories of Bob. It's going to be a panel discussion. I forgot where I was going with that.
Well, just as far as donations and how much did it cost?
Oh, right. And it also, if you want to see it, but you know you can't attend that evening, we now have a link when you sign up and register that you can choose that link and you will get a link afterwards. It's not really a download. It's just a link that will be available for maybe a month or so.
Okay. And as I recall, it used to be that if you would donate $100 or more, that you got a poster or some sort of a special thing annually?
Right. Well, we have upped that down to the $300 donation.
Okay.
Because unfortunately, it was a little canvas. Yeah. We weren't making any money on it.
$100 is not much anymore.
Right.
And
and this year, this is a great story. We have a Bob Lund commemorative poster for celebrating his 100 years. And I contacted my friend Jeff Warzak from Michigan. Jeff went to his college degree was in graphic design. He never got a real job with it. He used his graphic arts to put all of his promotional material together. Uh-huh. So I said, hey, Jeff, would you be able to lay something out? And he says, you know what, believe it or not, I have some old artwork that we're calling it the poster that took 47 years to create. He approached Bob. It was for a college project to put together a brochure. And so Bob gave Jeff his blessing. Yeah, sure, go ahead, put this together. Jeff sent Bob the artwork. Bob really it was okay. He really didn't like it. Sent it back to Jeff. So he still had that artwork.
Been sitting on it for a long time.
And he used that basic design to create the poster to celebrate Bob's 100th birthday.
That's kind of funny. I would think that Bob would be turning in his grave because, I didn't approve that the first time, and why are they running it back through again?
Well, it wasn't so much he didn't approve it. He didn't there's a ink drawing of the outside of the museum, and he didn't like that the windows were blacked out.
Oh.
But now, with new technology, Jeff has created it so it looks like you're looking in the museum.
Oh, okay.
So you can see, it looks like you're looking in. You can see the posters on the wall. Uh-huh. You can see the Houdini display through the front door. So it's a lot brighter. That's the only thing that Bob really didn't like.
Ah, okay. So now it would be something he would like.
He might like it this time.
Okay, there we go. That's good clarification. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying the convention. It is a lot of fun, and I encourage other people, if you're interested, to come next year. And if this is too far to travel, next year I understand it's going to be on the East Coast, so it's going to be in the New Jersey area, across from the city. And so I'm planning on coming early, maybe staying late, and actually getting to see a couple of plays on the Broadway, while I'm there.
I think I'm hooked. Yeah. I think I'm hooked on collectors.
There you go, hooked on collectors. And I think there are a lot of other people, too. And that's the thing is they open this up to alumni first, and then after a few weeks they'll open it to the general public. And that's why you were able to slide in, and a few others then where there were some open slots.
Right. And now I'll be an alumni.
Now you'll be an alumni. Very good. Well, welcome to the group.
Thank you.
So magic
and I do like sleeping in and going to bed a little bit earlier than a regular magic convention.
And still having time to visit with all of our friends.
Right.
So for the Magic Word Podcast, that was Jania Taylor. Scotty out. Tonight at the banquet, one of the things they do with the Collector Expo is always to have a nice sit-down evening meal, and then we have some great entertainment. And tonight will be no different. We're going to be having John Carney and James DeMere, and I think somebody else is going to be joining us. And I've got one of the performers, Matt King. Oh, yeah, the other guy. I forgot his name. It's going to be, since we are in Las Vegas, and I've got somebody from Los Angeles who's with me right now, John Carney. He's going to be with us later. Hey, John.
Hey there.
So you came out just for this. Have you ever been to the expo before?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I've been to a few collectors things, and but this is I haven't been to one in a while. I was at the history conferences.
Back when they had them in L.A.
Yeah,
Mike Caveney and those guys.
Yeah, I did a lecture on gimmicks at one of the collectors.
Is that when you did the Lion Witch wardrobe thing?
At the history conference, I did several things. I did the orange tree. I did the rosemere. I did Will Witch and the Watch. Mm-hmm. I did the mascot moth.
Yeah.
I was in a bunch of those things. Those are really fun.
And there's a lot of research that goes into all that, obviously, and then costuming and memorization of the script and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, most of that was Jim Steinmeier.
Is that right?
Writing scripts and working the tricks out and everything, and then he would get different magicians or friends to act in it.
I was just talking with Brad Henderson about a potential new venue that might be opening in Austin, and part of the venue he wants to have is some sort of a workshop where they can actually talk with artists and put together these kinds of things rather than, certainly like what Copperfield does with his vignettes. They're short, 2 or 3 minutes. When I first experienced snow or kind of a thing, they're emotional kinds of things. And he said, no, I'm talking more about the thing like what John Carney was doing. When, you're doing I say Lion Witch, and what am I trying to say? The watch, what is that again?
Will, the Witch, and the Watch.
Thank you. And that's the longer period piece.
Yeah, and it's, I don't know if modern audiences, it was really slow moving, and Jim cut it down way, way, way down. It was like a half-hour play. And
it was a play, yeah.
He cut it down to like 10 minutes or something like that.
Uh-huh. And are you a collector yourself? Do you have posters or books, or what do you?
No, not really. Books I collect for the information, and I like gimmicks. Not that I use them, but I think they're fascinating. That
like holdouts, you mean, or
just everything, different types of tips and pulls and little finger gimmicks, things that hold things behind your hand. Not to use, I'm just fascinated by the mechanics and the lengths that people will go to so they don't have to palm something, But the engineering's interesting, and it's a cheap thing to collect, whereas most everything in this room is hundreds or thousands of dollars. They usually have a shoebox someplace, and they'll go, $5,
Yeah.
So that's the kind of stuff I collect.
And I know also, when I think I had heard from you last, that you got a new book. Are you working on something then right now?
Well, working on it. It's still a while. I have to take photographs, and then I have to do Photoshop, then I have to lay it out, then I have to have it printed. So it's probably 6 months to a year away.
Is this going to be like an ultimate treatise? Like the ultimate,
no,
the Carney companion?
It's the first time that I've done a book just on cards. So it's called Visual Card Magic. So it'll be all. I like visual tricks. I don't like mechanical tricks. I don't like tricks where you deal piles of cards. I don't like puzzles. How did you find my card? I don't care how you find it. I just, I like something visual to happen, a change. It rises in the air. It goes from here to there. Something like those are the kind of things I enjoy.
It's an interesting question, I think, but do you think the impact is more important to have the presentation or the mystery itself?
Well, they're equal.
Yeah,
they're equal. You can't have one or the other. It's even I love card magic, but I can only watch so much of it. And there's certain things that I lose interest right away. And at the end, they'll say, "Is that your card?" And there's so much procedure that it just kind of bores me.
Right.
So, I say, well, why don't you just stick your finger in there?
Yeah.
And you got the card. Now you'll do something interesting with it. It's like I don't care how you find it.
Right.
I just want something interesting to happen.
I just think the process, when you're going to be saying, okay, we're going to count down this far, and then you add these over to them, and then you have another pile, and then you mix these together, the process gets to be boring unless there's really some journey along the way that's interesting.
Well, it's obviously not haphazard. There's obviously a formula, and it's like, I know the formula and you don't. That doesn't interest me at all.
Yeah.
It's like, well, puzzles don't interest me at all because I'm not really good at them.
Yeah.
And I'm not really good at math. So working those things out doesn't fascinate me. But I have friends that love to do math, and they love to. They think for weeks on. But I think about different things. I go, well, how can I cover this? How can I justify this? How can I present this? How do I do this in a way that nobody will notice? Or I work on different problems than math and procedures. I try to limit procedure, very, very minimal procedure, so you just get right to the trick.
And as far as tricks go, I want to ask you about like Mysto the Magician and other characters that you have developed. Have you kind of put these on hold, or are you still working those kinds of characters, or have you got somebody new you're working on?
I do them, in certain situations, but I don't want Mysto on my gravestone. This is what he did. So I like a lot of different things, and Mysto's one thing that I wanted to do more characters and more acting on stage, so I kind of developed that. But Mysto's limited because he has to be. I want it to work in the end, unlike Carl Ballantine, who's one of my heroes. Nothing worked. I wanted it to work because I love magic, but it has to succeed despite his being an idiot. It still works. But it's a hard formula to keep doing that over and over and over. And I want to do things that are sentimental, and I want to do things that are just funny, just patter me talking. So, I do other things. I come back to it all the time, and if I do a theater show, it's longer and I have the right environment, I'll do more of those.
Well, it is a good point. I think that you could be like Valentine, which you would have Mysto act at just a tight 12 or something that you could take on the road and do that the rest of your life if you decided. But you've got so many different other ideas and whatnot. So.
Yeah, it's fun. I just love developing things.
Yeah. Well, John, thanks very much. Always good chatting with you. So, with Magic Word Podcast, that was John Carney. Scotty out. One of the people who has been a presenter in previous years and gave an amazing talk, it doesn't matter what he talks about, but the way that he presents things is just memorable. I like the way that he kind of walks up and down the aisle and it seems like extemporaneously, the way that he gives the presentation, but gave a talk about Ionia, which was the book that he had completed, and he's got a new one he's working on then right now about Mr. Godsol.
Mr. Godsol, yes.
Yep, and he also is a collector of posters, and you know him and love him probably not as much as I do because this guy's wonderful, one of my best friends. Here he is, Charles Green III. Hey, Charles.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Scott.
Thank you. Good morning. It is a good morning. We're getting ready to start over here at about 11 o'clock soon. We're going to be having a couple of good sessions. I know Diana Zimmerman's going to be talking. I don't remember who else is going to be on. But
actually, it's going to be Connie Boyd this morning.
Connie's this morning.
Yes.
That's
Diana
right.
was
Diana's last
last
night. That's
yeah.
right. I'm getting so confused. I'm going to talk with Diana.
It's a magic test. I got it. I passed.
I'm talking with Diana later for a podcast episode. But that's right. Connie's going to be talking as well. And I wanted to ask you also about the Godsol book, that
yes.
If you can kind of give us a quick synopsis of who he is and why this is important and when it's coming out, et cetera.
Okay, great. So Joe Godsol, for those of you who don't know, and no one really does, he is the brother-in-law of Clementine de Vere, who was Ionia. So he is Ionia's brother-in-law. He is Charles de Vere's son-in-law. The reason that he's an important person is that he's an American who was a businessman born in Cleveland, went to France, became a naturalized French citizen. During World War I, as a naturalized French citizen, he was drafted. During that time, he made millions and millions of dollars, so like $20 million. He then came to the United States, and France wanted to extradite him back to the United States and colluded with the U.S. government, the Bureau of Investigations, the precursor of the FBI. And for a year and a half, they were in court trying to get him to return, to pull him back to France. He was in jail for 3 months in Washington, D.C. He was arrested there. This is front page news in D.C., across the country, and across the world because it was such a big case during war. He was known as a war profiteer. Eventually, the case went to the Supreme Court. They denied the lower court ruling. Godsol was free, but then he invested his $20 million into Goldwyn Pictures. Became an executive at Goldwyn, eventually in 1922 kicked Samuel Goldwyn out of his own company, and then Frank Joseph Godsol, as president of Goldwyn Pictures, the largest stockholder, initiated and negotiated the merger of the companies that became MGM. And then after that, as soon as the merger happened in April of 1924, he left the country because he was very ill, died shortly thereafter in Switzerland. But he's an amazing American figure for a lot of different reasons. Was because he was a Jewish, and because of that, he was known as America's Alfred Dreyfus case of 1918.
I think what's amazing, we talked about at dinner last night also, is the fact that he is obviously relatively unknown. People mention Godsol, even in the film business. Those who are into film and major in film in college perhaps do know him, but there's been no book or anything written about it. This is the first and only book that's going to be about his life.
Absolutely. So this is the first book, and it's amazing because I was just in Los Angeles to do research at the Academy Award Library, and they had very little on him when I went for the first day that's generally available. Fortunately, I was able to go to some special files that are just for the Goldwyn family files, got special access to them, and learned some really great stuff. But the book is written, and now I had to talk to my editor and say, hey, I've got to hold off until I get this material back.
Hold the presses.
Exactly. And there's been books about Goldwyn, there's been books about Louis B. Mayer, about Irving Thalberg, about Cecil B. DeMille, but there's no book about Frank Joseph Godsol, and this is going to fill the big niche for people who are interested in film history, about early MGM, how it got formed. It's a great book.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And so who knows when it's going to be coming out, because you still got this additional material, but within a year.
I would say within a year. I mean, we're really, really close. I mean, I could publish the book now and be fine.
It'll be lacking.
Right, but I've got some inside scoop that is really special that no one has ever seen. People haven't seen in a very long time, since 1924, because these are like letters between Godsol and some other people, Godsol and Goldwyn and other people, that helps explain some of the things that I already know about.
Right. Bringing this back over to this convention, yesterday you were involved, of course, with David Copperfield as part of one of the curators. There were several of us in each of the different rooms, and you were, of course, working the poster collection,
yes,
as you did the last time we were
yes.
here as well. And so he recognizes your interest in there. And so did David tap you out, or Chris, or how'd you end up getting in?
Well, David and I have had a relationship with posters. I was at his very first museum when Leo was still here, and I've seen it growing over the years. I've been here for different iterations. I've been very pleased to be in the poster room. And to me, whenever I go, I mean, not to put a religious spin on this, but it's kind of like going to Mecca. I mean, it's kind of like, so, you walk into the room and there are like 4,000 posters. And it's all organized. So you can flip through, and they're all the one sheets, half sheets, panels. There are things hanging on the wall. They're all alphabetized. So when I was looking for Ionia, I just go to the I's. If I was looking for Carter, I would just go to the C's.
Wow.
About 2 weeks ago, and this is one of the great things about David's collection, is about a month ago, I received a poster. I bought it online. It's a woodblock from 1880. I posted and said, I think this is the only one, which of course is the best way to find out it's not. People said, no, David's got one in his collection. And so I sent a photo to David, and he said, well, maybe I've got this. Come on in when you're here. Yeah. I was able to go through the files. I found that poster and 5 others that are in the set from that time period and from that lithographer, which is Currier and Ives. So that's kind of an interesting thing as well. There are people there who are doing research, like David Stahl and Dean Arnold, who are doing research yesterday. And it's an amazing facility that David does open up to the right people and to people doing serious research. Mm-hmm. And to think about it all in one place, it's mind-numbing, it's inspirational, it's beautiful, all at the same time.
Well, you just kind of glazed over something that was kind of interesting, because a lot of people who have always been wanting to go to Copperfield's museum as a bucket list kind of a thing, this might be one way of getting to visit if you are a serious researcher and you're working for something and can prove to him, I guess, that
sure.
You're doing that he can allow you to come in and actually do something and see part of the collection while you're doing it.
Yes, and the research facility, and I don't want to speak for David or his organization, right, but it is available to serious researchers. I know people who are within Magic, people who are not within Magic, but who are doing serious research, who have been given access to the files and to particular artists and information. And literally, if there's an artist obscure or well-known, there's some information on there, and it could be stacks and stacks of information on that person. Mm-hmm. Of letters, it could be lithographs, it could be props. So just as I went to the Academy Oscar Library to look for Godsol in film, right, if it's Magic, you got to go to David, or it's probably your research is incomplete.
That's true. I remember, of course, Michael Claxton was talking about David Price's collection, about how he had like 10,000 magicians that were listed, and you kind of go to the cabinets there. And I remember visiting his home and going through the file cabinets, and I thought, I wonder if they've got something about Steve Burton. And they did.
Sure, yeah.
They pop, and there was a big file of Steve Burton stuff. I don't know what made me think of at that time, of going through there. Usually look for yourself,
Right,
but the point is, it doesn't matter who you are, how obscure or not, so, and those have been passed on, I'm sure, are part of David's collection now.
Oh, no, definitely. And I want to give a shout out to another great collector and inspirational person, which is Mike Caveney at Egyptian Hall. So when I first went to Egyptian Hall, David Price Jr. was there, and my first visit there, I said, hey, do you happen to have anything about Ionia? He said, well, just wait a second. Why, yes, I do. It's the only known letterhead from her. It's a handwritten letter, 2 sides, and it was there from, I think, 1913. Well, now that letter has gone to Mike Caveney, and it's in his collection in Pasadena. I just spent the night there and was able to see it there a few days ago. Yeah. But, this stuff is there, and great collectors, great people who keep our things safe, great caretakers, right. Make them available. So Michael, David, and I think almost any collector, but David really is the Mecca. You know, it's just so beautifully organized. It's a wonderful facility. It's got depth. It's got character.
It does. The only one that might be a step down from that, and not very far, and that's Bruce Haverbook's collection that he has there in Cleveland. Oh my gosh, that is beautifully displayed, and he's got so many things. I often refer to that as Copperfield Museum East.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. Well, all of these places, and we're very, very fortunate that we have people in our community who have chosen. No one has to do this, but they've chosen to spend their time, their money, their resources to place the items that we treasure and give them more worth.
Yeah.
Because what's the difference between a piece of paper that's on the ground and a piece of paper that's framed, matted, and hung in with a spotlight on it? It's everything in between.
Yeah.
People see it and go, that has value. We take care of that.
Well, this really is a great convention and a good place for people who have that passion, who share that passion with each other, and show that we really preserve the history of art. And I thank you for all you do also to preserving the history of not just art, but magic in general. And your performances and everything else are inspirational. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Scott.
So thank you for the Magic Word Podcast. That was Charles Green III. Scotty out. Well, we've been talking throughout this convention about the highlight being we get a chance to go and see David Copperfield's museum. And yesterday was the day. It was a full day of going through, and David was hospitable to speak with every group that went through, all 200 of us. And it was amazing. And now we get to talk with him himself. What's that?
What was your favorite part?
My favorite part.
What's the highlight? My
highlight is that one where of Houdon's, where the child would sit in the back and he would have the donuts and
Patissier.
Yeah.
Say it clearly.
Patissier.
Well done. That's very well done.
And boulanger?
No. Boulanger. No.
What's that? The bakery?
Glacier.
Glacier, which was the ice cream thing.
You speak good French, I think.
Oui. That's about the extent of it over there then, too. Yes, that is one of my favorite pieces. The one I remember Walter Blaney saying that he always impressed him was the one with the little chirping bird. What was that called? What was that one?
The singing lesson.
Singing lesson. That was such a beautiful thing.
It's interesting because it's bellows that blow through a reed. It's not a music box. It's actually bellows pumping air through a reed mechanism. So it's pretty cool.
Now, the common question you always get is, what is your favorite? And it's like children, of course, but those two have to be a couple of your favorites.
No, actually, my favorite is the new display that we did for the Houdin Ethereal Levitation. Oh. Did you see it turn around?
I did, because the last time I was in the museum, you let me hold the thing, and I was thinking this was actually the one that Houdin had made.
No more touching.
No more. It's got my fingerprints on it, so I can no longer do that.
We actually made it so magicians can see it. The whole thing spins around,
right?
And you see the thing for a few seconds, and we cover it up for when laymen do the tour. We have magnetic cloth that goes over the actual gimmick, so it's safe for laymen.
Well, it was great. Thank you very much. I know that was kind of a hassle to try to put that together, but it seemed like that it went with precision timing as far as everybody going through and everything. And you got new things that you're adding all the time. And
what did you think of the new area with women in magic? What did you think of that area?
It has room for growth.
Okay. Is that a critique?
It is a critique from the standpoint that there are so many women in magic, and I just had a long conversation with Connie Boyd yesterday, and I think it's interesting about how few women from America in the 1900s there were, and it seems that they were more progressive overseas with more women in Europe, like in Germany and England and elsewhere in the 1900s, and certainly more today. And she was asking, said, "Did you see the one with Celeste Evans?" I said, "Yeah, I saw. There was something, and there were pictures of Celeste. I've done an interview with her way back when. I've gotten I didn't have it on the podcast. It was something else. But anyhow, she was featured there, and there are so many women. As I said, I think it's a good start for what you got right there for that to expand, because the good thing is it's women in magic, as you say. It's not women magicians, because we're all magicians, right? So what's your thought? Are you satisfied with it so far?
We're continuing to grow and change, and we really love it. So I'm very, very proud of the progress we're making.
Yeah, well, what you got, I think, is fantastic. I like the lighting that is on that. The spotlights the gallery lighting is great. It's just there are a lot of other women, I think, who can be at it, but yeah, it's in progress.
We'll be doing that. Yes.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. And the rest of the museum is growing as well. And any plans to ever do any more travel as far as you're done touring forever, pretty much?
Never say never.
So I'm looking forward today to listening to David Charves talk about Orson Welles, and that was someone perhaps who'd been a little inspiration to you?
He was. I did my very first special, and can't wait to hear all the stories that they have. I've got a few of my own.
What was he like?
You know something? I think he was brilliant, and you look at the detail of what he did. There's an illusion. There's a whole Orson Welles display in the museum with the I Love Lucy thing and on Tonight Show, and you see what he added to illusions, sometimes at the very last minute, but also always quite brilliant. And I was proud and honored to know him.
Yeah, and that was towards the end of his life, I guess, whenever that, is that right, when you had known him?
Yeah, I mean, he was around for a while.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for being here, and I appreciate that a lot, and perhaps sometime in the future we can sit down. I mean, coming up, I just finished 900 episodes, and before I get to 1,000, maybe we can sit down for an hour and chat. So for the Magic Word Podcast, I was David Copperfield. Scotty out. We just finished the evening show. In fact, it was a wrap on the whole convention. And I have been wanting to have an opportunity to chat with someone who also puts on his own convention, along with just a myriad of other, or plethora, whatever word you prefer to use, of people who make the thing actually work every August here in New Orleans, where we host Magic Live. And I go with me then my chief of the old Magic magazine, Stan Allen. Hey, Stan.
Hi, Scott.
Great to have you. So, have you enjoyed this convention? You've been going to conferences for years and years and years, back even when it was a Magic History in L.A.
I started with the history in L.A. I'd never been to a history conference before, and I found out they're really not, I don't know, they say collectors or conference or something. To me, it's story time.
Oh, that's true.
You know, it's just story time. So
before TED Talks were TED Talks, they had Magic Talks.
That's right. Yeah. So these people are the story keepers for us.
So many years ago, and I was writing the convention column for you, and you had said if you ever get a chance, you need to go to the Los Angeles History Conference. It was always sold out because they were limited as to the size of the room that they had. And I just never had time to even put my name on the list, and so I never got to attend any of those. But I kept seeing in the magazine the different things, like Mike Caveney was presenting the $1 Million Mystery, or it was amazing.
It really is. I mean, to see some of these things reenactment.
Yeah. Johnny Gaughan did that. What was the one with the teddy bear and the rising card? That was.
Oh, well, that's the hooker card rise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those tricks where in the restaurant the next day, we thought about going and taking all of the placemats that people had flipped over at breakfast the next day and were drawing how they thought this. I thought, in the magazine we could have a spread of placemats.
Funny.
That would,
Here's everybody had their own idea.
Everybody did. And you know, it's funny. I'm sure you can look it up somewhere and find it because some idiots put it online somewhere. Mm-hmm. I never have. It's just kind of nice to be fooled occasionally. I
think that's an ultimate fooler also, that few people know the secret. So this has been a great conference, and then Bill Smith has been taking over, and David Sandy's been helping quite a bit then as well, and they're moving from place to place as opposed to being in L.A. And before that, I guess, was even Chicago when, Jasper, Jay Marshall used to run the thing.
Well, yeah, there was the Chicago Collectors. I'm not sure that was the name, but
something
Jay
like
and them,
that.
And that didn't really travel too much. It went out occasionally. And then Ricky J., Jim Steinmeier, Mike Caveney, they all put it together once. Ricky sort of dropped out at that, and Jim and Mike, and I think Joni Lawton was involved. But that was the LA History Conference. And they also just plussed it. They just took it up a notch. And they just did it for the love of doing it, looking stuff up and figuring it out.
Yeah,
just good fun.
They're doing this whole...
John Gaughan. Right, left John Gaughan off. Got to put John in there, yeah.
But this whole convention is not something that is a money-making venture. This obviously is something that is truly a passion.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Sure. This is something Bill loves to do. And like most convention producers, there's moments where you hate doing it and other moments where you love doing it. But it's sort of like writing. 25 years of doing a magazine, and I did not really enjoy writing. However, I kind of like having written, the old expression,
Yeah, after it's done.
After it's done, you read it. Sometimes a couple years later, you read things. You go, hey, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
I think it's a lot like people who are on television or on movies. They don't watch their movies after they're already out.
Very often I hear people don't watch their movies, So, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, very, very. And so, speaking of conventions, of course, yours is going to be coming up. Looking forward to that, as always, first week of August. And anything to talk about where you are as far as...
I'm happy to tell you everybody we've booked and everything they're going to do.
Oh, here's the scoop.
And how much you're going to enjoy it. We can just fill it. You don't even have to go after I tell you all of this stuff. So
stay home, save your money.
Absolutely. It's fine. Our audience even phones it in. They don't even bother coming to this now. It's so easy.
This thing doesn't exist. This is just something that I have made up. We've Stan and I decided to put together a podcast. It sounds like there's a magic convention, and we made up, if this was going to be a convention, here's what would have happened.
Sure. Our imagination goes wild.
Exactly, as it can with radio. So,
it's funny.
Yes.
We still don't. We do not announce. We keep it a secret. And I'm sure there's some people that hate that. Mm-hmm. And there's other people that I think have just gotten used to it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they love it. I'm not sure they love it. They just say, yeah, he's not going to tell us anyway. But
my question is, how many more registrations do you have left? I mean, typically this is around the time that you start selling out.
Yeah, May, June. We used to sell out late June, and we're running about 5% ahead. I think we have 110. Which sounds like a lot of registrations, but we had 1,600 a few months ago. So, yeah.
Yeah, when you stop and think, 1,800 is the max, right?
No.
1,600, sorry, 1,600. When you stop and think about how that Blackpool this year went from like 3,000 to 4,000 people, I mean, that's continuing to grow.
Oh, it is. We're locked. We're locked because the theater holds 800 people. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about doing a third seating, but I don't think so. I think 1,600 is plenty of people.
Yeah, I remember to begin with, in the first year I think that you had limiting it just to the 800, thinking we're just going to be able to put everybody in there, and then Rory or somebody, you had a brilliant idea. How about if we double it?
Well, that was a little bit later. In the first one, we were hoping to get 600, and I think we got 800, and I think we got close to 700. We didn't break 700 on the first one. Mm-hmm. Well, the one time only, never to be repeated one, there. And, this would be, I think we've sold out 8 or 9 years in a row.
Wow. Because at the beginning, it was every other year.
It was never to be repeated.
Never to be repeated, right.
And then we did it 3 years later, and then we did it 3 years after that, proving that I'm a damn liar. And then at some point it dropped to every other year. I'm not exactly sure why, because I was still publishing a magazine, so it wasn't like I had nothing to do. Mm-hmm. And then after the magazine went on the shelf, then it just became, hey. And in some ways, I find it easier to do a convention every year because you sort of don't lose your momentum. When it's 2 or 3 years, you totally go away for a year, and then you have to gear back up. So,
when you were talking earlier about this kind of being a secret and a mystery as to who's going to be coming, I want, for those who are listening to this for the first time or may not have attended a Magic convention, Magic Live, is because that this is supposed to be, like the name implies, Magic Magazine, but Magic Live. In other words, the Magic Magazine, you don't know who's going to be on the cover of next month's magazine, and from page to page, what's going to be happening on the next page until you turn it. And so that's kind of a surprise. And so this is kind of like the Magic Magazine Live happening, and you don't know what's going to be happening from day to day.
It certainly started that way. I mean, the idea was to bring the magazine to life, to bring the pages of the magazine to life, which was really helpful because it gave me a roadmap to work with. You're going to start with your picture on your name badge on the cover. Mm-hmm. It sounds like we're at a bar. We're not. They're actually busting some tables here. It's like,
we don't have any drinks in front of us. Unfortunately, no martinis served here.
Boy, I thought the Magic Word podcast was classier than this. But anyway,
we are at the Orleans.
Yeah, there's that. And so the advertisers were part of the dealers' fair, the advertisers' fair. We followed the magazine right along for many years. And then it just got freeform after that at a certain point. The idea of not telling. And what's funny, I had suggested this to other conventions, the IBM, especially when they were selling out every year. Mm-hmm. Why tell them who's going to be there?
They're going to come anyhow.
Well, that was it. They're sold out. And I thought, look, you can go after major people. The major people don't want to have their name put into print if they might have to back out if they have a gig. And Hank Morehouse, mentor of mine, and he had always told me, no, when you book a convention, you're not booking just this year. You're booking the next year and the next year after that. When people can't do it or if they have to back out, they'll come back and help you in a future year. And so that was my first thing. But what really came to be is we sit in an audience and we look at a program. And I used to always use Norm Nielsen as the example because I loved Norm Nielsen's act. Who didn't? But if I looked at it in the program while I was waiting for the overture to play, I could preview his act. I could, oh yeah, he's going to do the flute, he's going to do the thing and everything else. But if I'm sitting in the audience and I don't know he's up next, I can't preview it. I can't do anything about it. I hear suddenly the musical artistry or the magical artistry, whatever it was, of Norm Nielsen. And about the time I'm going, oh, Norm's on the show. He's out there, and I'm experiencing it.
Right.
Just the way it is.
Right.
So I think it's better. So, and it's
I like your thinking.
It's, not everybody agrees, but, if they have their own convention, they can do
what they want.
They do what they want.
Well, that's true. And, we can go off on a whole podcast talking about conventions also. And
we've done that,
what people did,
haven't we?
we have. And I think people should go back and listen to that. I've had some people actually who have said about how, I think it was the 3 C's or something, of whatever it was, that we had talked about before. And that was really a good guide for convention organizers. And people have said, I really did pay a lot of attention. I really did like that.
And Charlie Fry's added a 5th C. For people that don't know this, when you're thinking, we were thinking about how people make decisions to go to a convention, and it fell into 4 categories. One is a city. What's the city going to be? Second is cost. Third is content. And the fourth is community. And it falls in, not in any particular order.
Right.
And I mentioned this. Charlie heard it and came in to me and said, yeah, you left one out. I said, what's that? The 5th one. Yeah. What C is that? He said, crap. We want to go see the new crap.
Yeah, new dealer's crap. What do they got?
Thank you, Charlie. That's a C as well.
Yeah.
There we go.
You have to include Charlie in your convention.
Yeah. So I was going to mention something to you because David Copperfield was kind enough to open up his little sandbox he's got over here with he's got a few toys in it, not many, 150,000, something like that. And Bill Smith put together the tours and everything, and a handful of us got to represent a room, talk about a room. So they gave me the the room with people like Marvin Roy and Channing Pollock and everything because
contemporaries.
Yeah, I know something about those people. The rest of the rooms I'm not sure I know very much about. And I think we did 12 groups came through.
About 20 each or something?
About 15, 16, 17, somewhere in there. And I was showing and demonstrating the mock-up that Fantasio put together for the very first cane, plastic thing. And he had a sample of the rolled-up plastic that he first saw. And it had Pepsi written on it. I thought it was a sign. Some kind of unrolled this thing and dropped it into a frame or something. And so halfway through the tours, I've been talking about this, demonstrating
with great authority.
Yeah, these people thought I knew what I was talking about. And a guy at the end of the tour said to me, yeah, I used to work for a bottling company. That's not what that was for. It was for, like, if they were putting a display, bottles, cans, whatever it was, they'd put a whole row of bottles. Then they'd take this plastic and run it over the top of it and set the bottles on that. And as you take bottles off, the plastic would roll up and you could grab more bottles. And it was used as layer dividers so that then...
soda.
Yeah, because now they can sit on something. They won't fall over as the same thing. And so I thought about it and thought, what an idiot. I've been saying the wrong thing. So the last half I gave him the right thing. But then I thought, here's what's great about these communities, this collectors thing. And that is that we get together and we start sharing stories and we start talking about something and somebody I've never met comes in and says, actually, it's this. Well, great. Now we've learned something. And that's the beauty. And I think it's a great thing about magic conventions in general. I always say it's like bunch of asteroids floating around in space, and then we all come together and sparks start flying and everything. So it was a quick education for me. So if anybody saw the first part of my little talks in there, I was wrong.
Group 3.
Yeah, you were in group 3, so please tell all your friends I was wrong, and it's actually that. And Fantasio saw something in the rolled up plastic that could turn into an entire industry in the world of magic.
Yeah, and a career and direction for his products. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's right. Well, Sam, thanks very much. I'm looking forward to seeing you in August and visiting with you a little bit at that time too. So
right. We can bust some more tables together.
Yes. Well, hopefully it'll be at over a bar where they got real drinks rather than just iced tea and everything here in the background. So
sounds good.
For the Magic Word Podcast, that was Stan Allen. Scotty out. The convention is over, and it has been wonderful, and I was going to get a chance to hopefully talk with Bill Smith, but I think he has finally had enough. Finally decided to
Bill Smith has been working nonstop for the last several months, so as soon as the final curtain came down, I think his eyelids came down as well.
So I've got two other people who are instrumental in making this whole thing happen, who are behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, and doing everything they can. I've got David Sandy and Lance Rich. Hello there, David.
Well, I'm so glad that I was able to attend this year. It's good to see you. One of the great things I like about the Collectors Expo, it's like a reunion of friends. You know, everyone's got the same passion, everyone's got the same drive, and I come for the social aspects and the fellowship as much as I do the content. And the content this year was really good.
It was really good. And Lance Rich, good to see you, Lance. And you provided part of the good content also here.
Well, I provided content. I guess we'll decide if it was good or not. Yeah.
No, it was always good.
Thank you.
I mean, you go to a lot of trouble, both of you. And putting together all the presentations, I mean, the slides and everything that happen, I mean, that just doesn't happen easily. So.
Yeah, Lance particularly. Lance, it keeps tweaking and tweaking and tweaking, and, so I just, finally say, all right, it's done, it's good to go, it's in the can, let's do it, But when Bill asked me to produce some type of a game show like we would typically do for the Collector's Corner, I love games and all this kind of a thing, I forgot that he asked me until about 3 days before this event. So I'm in a mad rush, and I was trying to think what would be appropriate for Las Vegas. And I thought, well, I could create a Las Vegas trivia game show, and then Lance could be like the authority because he wrote the book Neon Dreams. And, of course, he's done so much
that
research.
Idea because I got to plug my book. But we abandoned that at some point along the way.
I was thinking, when it comes to Las Vegas and the old game shows, when I was growing up, the Joker's Wild was like a giant slot machine that the whole game was built around. So we did a little magical Joker's Wild, and it was a lot of fun.
It was just a lot of fun, and you brought different people up over there, and they were supposed to get so many points, and then we had some things, just like whenever you have the Sunday night, what was it called again? The
Magic Collectors Corner.
Collectors Corner, that you have contests, and next week people would send in their answers and whatever, and then you draw it.
And Bill Smith was very generous. He donated some great prizes, so, everybody kind of went away a winner, and it was a lot of fun. It was as much fun for me as it was for the
I thought it was interesting when you said that you and Lance had written over the last few days 150 answer questions.
125.
That would be Lance has written.
Lance did most of them. Lance did most of them because with the Joker's Wild, it's truly a random category selection.
Yeah.
And in a game and a round, you don't know whether the same topic will come up 10 times in a row.
That's a good point.
And you got 5 categories, so you have to overwrite the questions. So I figured that out of the 125 questions that Lance mostly wrote, we used about 35 or 37 questions was my estimate.
37 questions, you think?
So
yeah, and it's a funny thing, I think, okay, I could just go Google Magic Trivia or something like that, and there are a lot of questions, a lot of trivia things that are available, but it's not like it's either very kind of beginner trivia or it's not relevant to this crowd. So, I was trying to write something that was kind of history-based or collecting-based. There are apparatus questions and that sort of thing. So
things about television, about magic dynasties and theater or golden age of magic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, some of my favorite questions didn't get used, but at least now we have them. So
I know, exactly.
One day we can do something else with them, I guess.
What is one of your favorite questions?
Let's see. Well, I will say one that did get used. It was, you mentioned magical dynasties, and it was it's name this family or dynasty, and it was Jasper. somebody else, Tobias, two Tobiases.
Two Davids.
Two Davids.
Right.
No, it was two Tobias, two Davids. And the contestant that was playing heard Jasper
and jumped to
the conclusion that
Didn't
it was.
you let me finish the question, Mr. Larry Kalo?
Not naming names. But his initials are Larry Kalo.
Yeah, exactly.
So he jumped to the conclusion that it was the,
as soon as I said
the
Jasper,
masculine family.
Masculine, but that wasn't correct.
I was happy. I mean, like, I thought that question could trip you up, and it did.
Yeah.
I know
the real answer was the Bamberg dynasty.
Yes, it was Bamberg's. I didn't know Jasper Bamberg, so I think he was the first magician in the family. I typically think of Fu Manchu, so that's Theo or Tobias, and I think of I'm sorry, that's Hokkaido. I'm sorry. Right. Fu Manchu is David. Right. Yeah.
So, we try to make, whenever I would do any of the games, you try to make it educational as well. So you're having fun and learning a little trivia at the same time.
That's true. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so.
And then today's show was really good. We'll get to this evening's show, but just to kind of wrap this afternoon, in which we had the presentation at the beginning with... I know we had the one on Orson Welles, but before that we had Lupe Nielsen talking about Norm, kind of Norm's life and how he got into collecting and everything, and then showing his collection. And
a lot of and she not only talked about acquisitions and stories about acquisitions of posters, but a couple of the kind of crazy stories about, like, a poster like they were trying to figure out how to take laminate off of a poster, and in the process of doing that, they tested it out on some not as valuable posters, and found out that didn't work. So thank God we didn't put this like $10,000 poster or whatever it was in that. And actually, it would have been worth more. It was only, I think they bought it for like $8,000, which still sounds like a lot, but it would have been worth so much more had it not had that back.
And had they ruined it with their experimentation,
it would have been worth nothing.
Yeah,
exactly.
I really enjoyed Connie Boyd's talk on women in magic because so many people will say, "Oh, there's not enough female magicians." Well, when you look back through history, there's quite a few of them. I know it's proportionally unbalanced, but there's women in magic. They are due more credit than they get because a lot of them, well, as Lance well knows, as far as Las Vegas strip magic is concerned, with Gloria Day, I don't mean strip magic. You know what I mean? On the strip. Yeah, right. But I found that extremely interesting. That all of these women were like trendsetters and pioneers in our.
Yeah, it's not just that there were women in magic; it's that they were trendsetting.
Earlier, just before I talked with you, I had this afternoon talked with David Copperfield about thanking him for opening the museum, et cetera. And he said, "What was your favorite part?" We talked a little bit about that. And I said, "I know they're all like children, but do you have a favorite?" And he said, "Well, my current thing is I really like the women in magic." He said, "What do you think of that?" And I said, "It's got some room to grow." And he said, "Is that a critique?" And I said, "Well, kind of. I think it does have some. It does have some. It's got a corner, and it's going in the right direction. I think it's great what he's got."
David has such an incredible museum. And his biggest adversary is a lack of space right now because the Women in Magic display is now being occupied or housed in a portion of the research center. And at some point, I think he's going to have to either expand or I don't know what the answer is, but it's just such an incredible tour, and the people that were here 4 years ago for the tour, it was like a whole new tour for them because they got to see all the new stuff.
That's right. And then this afternoon, we talked about had a panel discussion with Orson Welles. They showed some videos and everything that were from Johnny Carson and some other videos of his life and things like that.
The Mercury Wonder Show from the 40s.
That was all
with
wonderful.
Marlene Dietrich,
and then. Trying to think of that. After that, well, then we had the Potter auction.
Yes,
Gabe.
I got a masking of Robert Houdin.
Oh, you won something
by Houdini, signed by Houdini. So Lance and I are opening up. We were breaking ground on our new museum here in a few weeks, and so we were talking just the other day. We need more Houdini artifacts.
Well,
so this was an opportunity.
And it was interesting because yesterday we had a conversation, by Diana Zimmerman, and talking about Siegfried and Roy, and she was showing the book that she had written and everything. And so that was up, and it just kind of went from 100 to 120 and 150 and 200 and one guy. So 1,000. That took out the bid.
Do you have that book?
I don't.
Have you seen it?
Yes,
or examined it?
Yeah, I've worn the gloves and opened it.
It's the most remarkable packaging of any book I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. It's a museum quality thing, and they show you treat it with reverence or something.
It's really cool.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
If we didn't already have one, I would have topped the $1,000
Would
bid.
you? Okay.
Yeah, because it's really a collector's piece.
I was at Myrtle Beach at the Magic at the Beach, and Paul Stone had given a talk, and he brought one with him that he auctioned off, and I want to say it went for like $350 or something.
Oh, that's a steal.
I want to say that's about right.
So maybe you should go to Magic at the Beach. You should go this year because we're going to be there.
Are you? You're going to be
Yeah.
there? I will definitely be there.
We're booked.
It is one of the better conventions, and I recommend people who are listening to this episode do consider attending. I've been going the last couple of years, and Charles Bach just does a wonderful job. It's an intimate thing. It's an opportunity to see some really great acts. And he has a wonderful theater, and it comes with dinner and drinks and everything else that's involved. And it's only about 100 people to show up. And after you get there, you thought, how come there are not more people who know about this thing? Yeah. And so anyhow, I recommend it. And so you guys are both going to be there. That's great.
Yeah. We're going to drive down. I'm going to call Paul Lembo to see if he'll schedule another class, because last summer I took a class with Paul Lembo, his master class on building and repairing your magic, and I'd like to learn more. So we're going to see if we can work it in.
Who is Paul Lembo? If
Paul Lembo is the go-to guy for repairing and restoring magic. If David Copperfield buys something and it needs to be repaired, Paul Lembo. Jim Rollins has something. I mean, everybody gave...
Nothing to do with that stick that you're trying to crawl under.
The stick?
That kind of limbo.
No. Lembo. Lembo. But seriously, if you ever have anything that needs to be repaired, this guy will repair it to the way it was at the time. And, a lot of people, little things like, old magic props that were made before Phillips screws were invented, the Phillips screw head. If he can't get the right slotted screw, he will make the screws.
Wow.
And it's unbelievable. And if you take the class, he encourages you to bring things from your own collection that you want repaired, and you get to learn from the master how to repair your own stuff.
And he lives in Myrtle Beach?
No, he's down in North Carolina on the way to Myrtle Beach. Yeah,
okay.
so
well, there you go.
But fantastic. He's
so next year's going to be in New Jersey.
Yeah,
and so this. Tell me about this. It wasn't the Lincoln Center, but where is it? It's going to be the Lincoln Library or
no,
something?
No, it's the Billy Rose. No, and I announced this from the stage today.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll say the Billy Rose collection. It's part of the Billy Rose Collection Theater Division, New York Public Library, something.
Yeah.
But it's going to be cool because there's going to be an exhibit about magic that's kind of concurrent and kind of the conference will be or the expo will be planned around that. So there will be an exhibit that's there. They have an incredible collection of things from Golden Age performers, like Keller, Herman, everybody who was sort of in that New York region at some time. All of that collection, it was one man's collection largely, and he compiled it, I should say, and then ultimately donated it to the Billy Rose collection there.
Yeah, and it's great that this will be the first time the expo will be that far east. It was in Cleveland.
That's what I was going to say. It gives an opportunity for a lot of people on the East Coast to join us.
Absolutely, and I'm sure it'll sell out very quickly because Bill limits it, to a couple hundred people. So
when they open to the public, that's what I'm saying is that a lot of people came this year saying they heard the podcast and they wanted to catch an opportunity to go to Copperfield's museum, and so as soon as it opened to the public, they jumped right in. I had two different people who had said that.
Sold out very quickly.
So I'd say the same thing then for next year, that you don't want to be left behind.
Right. And I think Bill said open the registration. Of course, he opens it first for the people who
alumni.
Exactly. And then so they get first chance. They get maybe a 2-week head start, and then it'll open, and that'll probably happen in September or October this year. I don't know the exact date, but
okay. Well, guys, thanks very much.
Hey,
thanks for being
good to
such
see you.
You too, David and Lance. All feel good to see you guys, and thanks for helping to make this such a memorable occasion as well. And thanks for everything that you're doing on Facebook over there. I wish I was on. I got bumped off. I got my account locked, and I've been hacked, so I no longer exist. Apparently, if you try to find me, for people who are thinking, did Scott die or something? Because I post so much, but I can't anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do. So right now, I have to create a new account or something or other.
I mean, could you? I know this. I don't know if this is interesting, but I mean, can you create a?
He's tried it. We had a long conversation.
Yeah, we did, and I can't. But I'm just saying for those who are wondering about, hey, I want to send you a message, but I can't find you. Well, I'm not on there right now, but you can reach me through Scott at themagicwordpodcast.com if you want to send an email or something. But anyhow, I want to thank you guys, and congratulations also for what you had done. You'd recently won the award for, what's the guy in Canada? That was it wasn't recent.
The Alan Slade Award.
Alan Slade Award.
Yes. Right.
Was that in the spring? I mean, was earlier this year.
It was last year.
No. It was a couple of
years ago.
It was a couple of
It
years.
was okay.
And then congratulations, because we won a fellowship from the Magic Castle. You won a fellowship
right.
for this incredible podcast, the service you provide.
Thank you.
I think, how many have you done?
900 and 14 years. And this year I'm going to be up for the best magic podcaster at FISM.
FISM,
yeah. So
Well, good for you.
Nominated.
You well deserved.
So be sure to go out and vote often. Just put your email in there, and you can help vote and bring that to the attention of the judges, and maybe I'll bring
You've
home
got
a
our
trophy.
vote, Scott.
So for the Magic Word Podcast, that was David Sandy and Lance Rich, and that is a wrap, I think, from Las Vegas and the Magic Collector Expo 2025. Till next year, this is Scotty out.